playing with a pillow behind your back at home, then you're more than likely going to want one at LAN, and we got it figured out. And luckily enough, we don't have to wait any longer to start things here on Villa, and Team 1 already hitting us with the spice. I'm loving it. Sledge coming off of the field and will not be used here on Villa. That's really going to hinder quite a bit of the vertical play.
Doesn't matter much for Team 1, though. They bring a lot of buck play into the field. Somewhere around like 30% of their picks are buck picks. So that's actually not much of an issue for them, as they're already used to playing with the alternative option that Oxygen are going to be forced into now. As a result of that, will of course complicate the grenade situation too by knocking him out. Jackal's the follow-up there. That's just going to help probably to bolster Oxygen's roam game a little bit. We know Laxing, he's kind of got this infamous play style where he just kind of goes out on his own, does whatever, and his teammates
gets away with it.
Yeah, and gets away with it. His teammates just believe him pretty much there. So we'll see Valkyrie go for the second ban for Oxygen. We are going to pause for a sec here once we get in game, folks. We'll investigate that quickly. Well, my following it up once again, just wanting to knock out a bit of the utility bidding.
Hold down the whole map quite handedly, might I add, especially with Pulse in play. That's something that we've seen time and time again, even from Oxygen. Foxay had been doing that for quite some time, all the way back in like the Reciprocity days, where him and Laxing would be roaming on the bottom floor and making a mockery of things. But as of now, we finally have everybody out and ready to play here on Villa. It took us a while, but finally we have reached the moment where we can talk about the actual map and the game. Yes, we finally gotten there. And also, just to make sure you guys are aware, we got some pretty damn cool skins inside of this game for our esports bundles. Make sure you guys go check that out in the in-game store. And, in fact, you can represent both of these teams that you currently see on your screen.
Team 1 giving us no surprises in terms of their operator picks for the defense here. Pretty much as default of his lineup as you could get. The only real wrinkle in it is the Mira has been brought in. That's kind of a team choice, is whether you want to do that or not, or if she even remains in the pool. She's fairly rarely banned out, but from time to time, teams do feel the need to eliminate her. Look at this brace that's been prepared, this bunker that's been deployed for the Jaeger, currently being played by Maya over on main stairs. That will be a problem for Oxygen if they want to clear in that department, but may not necessarily be the case. We'll have to follow up on that a little bit later on, as it looks like now we're starting to see some of that presence shift over towards the main door in Art Studio, while Vertical and Dream start to work as well for here towards Study.
It's going to be the initial info gathering, but there's also a lot of exploitative moves that Oxygen can make, given the fact that we are on Villa. The basement could be used quite a lot to just try and circumnavigate Team 1's overall setup, especially that they're trying to extend out and hold a lot of the very important rooms like Master as well as main stairs and try and delay this time from OXG. But OXG's no slouch. They've been extremely solid in not only their entry game, but also their utility usage, which frag grenades is one's about to go off, but actually it's an E1D, or rather a EMP instead, as we don't get to see Thatcher all that much, but finally have him in for a game here, and that'll eat up those ADSs, making it a lot easier to get rid of that deployable shield. Oh, and the wall's already open here inside of Study, so a lot of new different ways that Oxygen can potentially find their first frag. Yeah,
fairly minimal mitigation here brought by Team 1. Obviously no Cade pickup on this round. You had the Mute Jammer sitting on the lower part of that, but that's pretty easy to take out, as our studio is taken pretty much immediately by the Oxygen roster. Oh, that's unfortunate, as someone has dropped out. So that is... We'll follow up on that once we have any potential decision, but I believe we're just going to resume play. Yep, that'll be played out.
Yes.
So stick with us, folks. And
luckily, Laxing's here, though.
Yeah, Laxing will immediately make up for the trade, though, and bring us down to a 4-4. We'll have a further update on what's going on with that, by the way, after this round, folks. But Dash as well there, going to be able to try and respond to this. He's actually in a great position. They don't seem to realize him, but he can't let it disgrace. That's 2 more kills going by the wayside of Oxygen as they pick up and knock out some of these big fighters here at the same time, though. Lagonis walks up. He gets the case and the pump out, but he misses the second player down below. Nures trades it back out. We're going to see RHZ jump around a little bit here, but still, no! Can't be eliminated just yet. Nurs goes down, and now it's only Foxy alive against RHZ, who's got less than 50% HP to play on now. 50 seconds, like we said before. The case was dropped over by Mainstair. Should be retrievable by Foxy, but he's not in the area. As you can see, he's on the opposite side nearly of the map right now. Needs to try and figure out a way to get himself around there, figure out where RHZ's position is, and pick up the case potentially if he still wants to play into the site.
Yeah, Foxy doesn't want that case. He wants this frag, John. He's going to be able to get rid of the mirror window and make it a little bit more complex here for RHZ to try and play into this. Foxay also with the 1.5, so these longer angles will assist him. But that doesn't mean that the Vector's any slouch. A single bullet to the head of Foxay will end this round in favor of Team 1. In fact, they should have never gotten it to here in the first place, but yet we have this one-on-one going down inside of games. Foxay with a beautiful flick. It only takes a pixel to be exposed from RHZ, and his head is lopped off.
So unfortunate with the drop connection, but they make up for it, winning the 4v5 outright. Beautiful stuff from Oxygen. More likely that round will stick, and we'll continue play as usual, folks. And Oxygen now take the lead as a result of that. But 1-0 lead, and we can confirm now that the round is locked in, so we're just going to continue on.
You can really tell that Oxygen were paying very close attention to Team 1's playstyle inside of that previous map as well. The patience on those balconies, especially when we started to see some of the frag potential start to come out later on into the round, it was very calculated. They did not want to try and oversell, and it worked out quite handily, especially given the situation of Dream dropping, you know, unbeknownst to anyone. So it makes it a lot easier for them that they were, you know, kind of, you know, in that overall strategy that they were at that current moment. Because having Dream drop there, especially playing the operator that he is, makes things a little bit complex. Mostly to the point where they're not really allowed to open any new lines of sight and make it difficult to try and play around the area inside of, you know, Team 1's defensive space.
All right, so Oxygen in charge here. We are not going to replay the same upstairs hold from Team 1. Instead, they will shift downwards and put themselves into a living room, surprisingly. Not the first site we see teams go to, but Latin American choice actually tends to drift the other direction in there. Latin America, I think, favors the living room play more than they do the kitchen hold from what I've generally seen inside of that region, so it makes perfect sense considering the circumstances here. OXG will be prepared to attack, but thankfully we get a healthy amount of play on this site inside of North America too, so they should know exactly how to approach this.
Yes, indeed. And also Villa just being in for so unbelievably long. Usually the protocol for this site is taking control of AVG, Aviator Games, whatever you guys call it, at home, and trying to get some control over the verticality in that area. Now, if you remember, Sledge is indeed banned here, so we're going to be looking to some other players to potentially try and pick that up. But bad news bears for Oxygen, they don't actually have a soft breach at the current moment. Had some 6 picks comes through, laxing onto the Lion. Vertical now playing Capitao with the LMG, so that LMG meta is still strong in the current day.
It's going to be fairly slowly wound up for both teams here, neither one able to take the initial fight immediately. Dash seems to be flirting with the potential of it over towards top Astra there, as he has a player from Oxygen on hell below him, but it's still a tough fight to really postulate towards here. He's got to watch out for the mudroom entries as well, as you know that's an area that Oxygen are going to want to try and get control of here as we barrel down towards the end of the round. Doesn't necessarily need to worry about it immediately, but still going back for a check here since he's not really able to push towards much on that top Astro fight.
Slow and steady apparently wins the race at the current moment here for Oxygen, trying to see where they can potentially strike next and find their opening frag for round 2. Drone's ahead of Newers here, and he's already had a strong start, 2-1 at the current moment, and we're hoping that this train continues, and potentially his first game here could be a huge pop-off. Gonna have a clear here from OXG as they've gotten control of Piano. A lot of different areas here over on this side. Oxay trying to hold things down for the mud cross. Lots of different ways that Team 1 could be severely punished at the current moment, especially with the lacking intel on the position of these OXG members, but they have been able to at least maintain this man count.
Fairly uneventful round so far here as Team 1. We talked about this again in the pregame about how Team 1 was probably going to end up giving a lot more respect over to Oxygen, just given their reputation alone, and that certainly seems to be the case here. Team 1 taking that much more passive approach, leading Oxygen into the building, into these pre-fired angles where they're going to hope to catch them, but no, instead it's going to be Vertical that catches Dots, knocking him down after forcing him back and baiting him into the open with a drone play.
Team 1 don't know where the next hand will come from, and it seems that it's going to be a burst through the art vault as continually the Team 1 bodies fall. RHZ has to drop back into the bathroom, but they have footholes here that are actually going to play against him if anybody got any of that information. Foxay sneaks in from mud, and I mean, they probably postulated as many possibilities as they could right there, and they've picked the perfect one, John. Cool, calm, and collected. They found their mark. They take out the site players, and they get that plant down. There's no way in hell that Team 1 are allowed back into that site with the now defensive matrix that Oxygen built around it, and the famous, or infamous, depending on how you feel about Dream, clap. But I don't know how you would hate that guy.
Yeah, too much of a good guy, him. But either way, this is that kind of pinpoint accuracy on execution that we were talking about seeing in the earlier stages of the NAL from Oxygen. It seems like it's back, at least if that round is going to be any indication. That was a dangerous play. You could see how passively the guys from LATAM Team 1 were playing that as well. Not moving an inch towards the entry points. They're just backing away, trying to take the tightest angles possible. And even then, even when it seemed like they had every capability to shut it down, the drone comes in, distracts a player or two, gets them to move a few inches. Now they're out in the open. First strike, that player's down. That now opens up a window for a second player as well to be pushed in from, and it's like a domino effect from that point forward. Beautifully done by Oxygen. Now we just need to see them continue to repeat it here.
Absolutely. I mean, a perfect representation of that from that round was Fox's positioning on Mudroom Window. He literally sat there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It was just waiting for the entry, waiting for them to actually pull some aggro over towards the other side of the map, hop in, and then take the fight at that current moment. It was masterfully done, and again, well, I think both of us are expecting a lot more of this out of them. Now, some picks coming in from Oxygen. Laxing will be back onto the Thatchers, so some calm waters ahead when it comes to trying to get these walls broken down.
Once again, as we are back inside of AVG, everything will come to a boil inside of the last minute or so. This first minute, especially for Oxygen, is just going to be to gather intel for the most part. Maybe take study control. They really want to go for it, but keep in mind, we still have the mirror in play with vision onto that, and more than likely a soft wall sitting next to that window as well. So they do need to be a little cautious of that due to the kind of double-edged sword nature of how that can play out. Selma already going to be used over here on the right panel next to the mirror window, so similar pacing here for Oxygen as they try to open up site access. Obviously, the members of Team 1 will have planned for this. They don't really have a way to prevent it ultimately, so they still sneak their way in quite easily, knock that one out. It's not too big of a deal for Team 1, but they do now need to go to the kind of secondary setup inside of the site here to keep holding on.
And they're back to more or less their default setup for this site. So Maya will be back onto the main stairs, and Oxygen more than likely dispatching of this momentarily. I believe they got rid of the shield there, just player cam blocking that out, and yes indeed, did get rid of that. Also the ADS is obviously EMP'd, so making it pretty easy for the Gone 6 to claim that. And with as much time as Oxygen still have at their disposal, I mean, they can just stay cool, calm, and collected. There's really nothing they have to try and hightail into at the current moment. Already got some decent damage dealt to Lagonis, and with all of the utility that they still have, there's a big potential for them to just use that to find some of these frags. But Lagonis will eventually get one in a fight you'd never expect Newers to lose, but he does. Maya will claim him, and finally, Team 1 have an advantage.
That's a big kill for Maya as well. Main stairs control is really the only thing keeping Oxygen
shot
out of
dash.
the site. Dash as well, dashing his way into a pickup here against Foxe. Brings the numbers for Oxygen down. Nowhere near the consistency this time from our attackers here, as they just can't get themselves past the breach here and study, and more importantly, knock out Maya, who is the one defending it. If they can trade out against Maya, maybe an opportunity here to bring the round back from a 2v4, but it's looking bleak. That's a good way, though, to change my opinion on it, as Laxing knocks out Lagonis here and brings these numbers down to a much more palatable 2v3, especially when you look at Maya's remaining HP.
Oxygen, you're starting to convert us in this round, so we're about to be praying to the OXG gods if they're able to pull this one off. Vertical, some serious damage dealt to Dash, and just to remind you, both of these ARs deal some very, very serious damage, especially the ARX on Vertical. There is definitely a very good chance they still have the opportunity to take this round. Vertical will start working his way up main, in tow with Lax, and they do not have case control. They're just looking for these fights. This could potentially be the round ender here, though, as he's flirting with 90 Dash. We playing out towards Skull Door. He's holding onto that for the moment. A beautiful shot here from Maya as he plays off-centered here inside of the bar area, and Games will win it out as he'll win it from this little coffee spot.
Perfectly played by Maya there. Stops the initial entry attempt into study to clear him out, and then aside from that, is able to play the timing perfectly. Even stuck around on main stairs despite the low HP too, in case anybody wanted to come in and try to refrag real quickly. Then is able to thankfully fall back as Oxygen took a moment to themselves to bring the 2v4 under control. Thankfully, inside of the site, Maya gets a great position, and due to the assistance of the intel that was coming out there at the end of it, you guys saw probably those hot pings on the remaining two members of Oxygen. It's a pretty easy fight for him to shut down both of those guys at low HP with the angle he had and win the round. It's now a 2-1 scoreline. Oxygen still in control, but Team 1 is on the board.
Yes, indeed. Now for Oxygen, it's back to the drawing board to try and see what they can potentially do with round 4. Round 3, I really think you can just chalk it up to the frags not going their way, especially from what we saw from Newers there. You really don't expect that out of your Finka player to swing the potential fight they're trying to take and just spray wide for a majority of their shots. So very unfortunate for him, because if he does take out Maya there, Oxygen have a very good chance of winning that round.
Definitely the case. So for Oxygen, bit of a bump in the road. Will it send them off of it entirely is now the question, though, as Team 1 seems to have found a way to get in the way of these executes here, and they're going to something similar yet again. Moving over towards the trophy and statuary side now, we will still see that extended defense inside of AVG. Obviously a much lessened extent onto it now, more of a time-wasting mechanism more than anything here for OXG if they do decide to go for a clear on that side of the map. Should we not see that, though? This isn't going to be much of an issue, and we'll see Maya and Dash fall back probably right around the minute-and-a-half mark.
Well, have to see a lot of utility for Oxygen to potentially work through, but since it is going to be more of a spread defense, it's just going to be dotted around the map and not really, you know, in a serious volume inside of any one room. You're going to have some pretty aggressive fronts here as a strategy we haven't seen in a little while, but one that I've always really enjoyed, the Castle Barricade setup here inside of Master. You usually end up making a rotation through and then Castle Barricading one of the tiny little windows inside of Master, just making it to where you can hold on to that area. And it's always very, very hard fought as well, especially with these shotguns that could potentially be lying in wait. Already going to have the Selma charge out though, and Lagonas has no leg to stand on in this situation. It's going to make it super easy for them to start breaking up these walls.
You can see for Lagonis preparing for the potential hop-in now for the members of Oxygen. We can also see Dream quickly knocking out control over that Selma there. He's pre-placing it down onto the ground. Shouldn't be any way to mitigate it. It's more than likely it's gone off without too much of a hitch. Plus the members of Team1 were able to blow it up through the floor. Not looking like that happens, so it does have the first entryway open. Dream is now going to utilize that to get his drone on the inside, and they'll find Statuary pretty much open for the taking. The crosses, though, still very much something to worry about, whether they're going to come from Astro, Trophy, or somewhere else, such as out in the hallway. They still need to worry about clearing that. So an open Statuary, unfortunately, won't mean much here for OXG. They still have a lot more things to check off. Away from that. Waiting for this first engagement, but Foxay is going to win it this time around here. 50 health remaining as well, so he can realistically take another one. He wants to continue pushing forward, and there we go. The breach was already made. Dream had pre-droned this about 30 seconds ago. Something scared him off, though, as he initially canceled the plant here. Toxic Babe has gone in, but he's too far in. I'm pretty sure he can commit this to keep himself alive. There we go. He may be lost as a result of it, and this is going to get dangerous now, as Oxygen are brought down to 2 due to 2 additional players being lost. At the same time, it's not unwinnable. It's a 2v3, so certainly palatable here, but a nice read has already been made by one of the members of Team 1. They see the play coming out towards Master Bathroom. Vertical may have caught that as well. He's going to rotate out. Laxing has got the undercover, but he doesn't have the right read on it right now. The position isn't correct. Vert takes out his teammate. He gets him off the case. Vert finishes off the counter defuse, and that leaves Lagonis alone here. He's only got about 10 seconds to knock out both players, but he won't even get the chance as Vertical slays them all and wins out the round for Oxygen.
Yeah, if you can keep Vert up in a situation like that and cases down, you can more than likely call it an Oxygen round. I mean, what a dominant performance from him. A fantastic opener from Foxay as well to really kick things off here for round 4. Laxing obviously having his hand in some things, but past that, it really was Oxygen's beautiful setup that got them into the actual site, as well as a mismanagement of utility from Team 1, just seemingly unaware that someone's planning a case, and the smoke grenade comes in so very late for Dream, and he actually ends up being able to stick that case and get things down, making it very straightforward for Oxygen past that moment.
See, a nice sacrifice for Dream to be able to do it, and a bit of a risky moment, too, as Team 1 pick up those refrags pretty much the same exact moment that Dream's fate had been sealed due to the hard commitment onto the plant.
It's the Rocky scene. If he dies, he dies. That's what it is right
pretty
there.
much. So for Oxygen, taking that full control for themselves here at a 3-1 score. Looking very similar to our last matchup, just the stat line's been flipped now. It's Team 1 struggling, but obviously the inter-round play is much, much closer here, so it doesn't tell the full story, it seems, this time. Team 1 coming so close to winning as these are brought down to 2v3s, 2v4s, but just can't negotiate for a lot of their wins. They've only been able to negotiate 1 so far here. Going to fall into the kitchen hole this time, I believe for the first time in the half, to try and win it out now.
So before we get too deep into round 5, just wanted to give you guys an update about what's going on over on Rainbow Six Bravo for our Bravo stream. So make sure you mute really quickly if you guys do not want any spoilers and you want to watch later. We'll wait a couple of seconds. And as the current moment, Cyclops actually won their game up against XSET. And not only that, but it's their first international win, John, since Game 2 at the Mexico Major versus the Sonics.
Big stuff from CAG, of course. They're going to be very happy about that. We heard them being happy about it, in fact, just a few moments ago. So had to once again see that one for ourselves. But either way, some great stuff from CAG. And a bit of an unfortunate run there for XSET. We'll have to see how they can recover. As we talked about earlier, they still have one more match coming up later today against FURIA at the tail end of today. So make sure to catch that one here. As we've got a bit of a tense battle brewing here. Nurs knows he's got a player in front of him. It can't get the easiest vision against him. As you can see, these angles are a bit dirty. Thankfully, has the drone to yellow ping it, but Dash has just realized that, so he's probably going to be a little more cautious now, as his position is no longer obscured.
And fortunately enough for him, Foxay on drone at the moment, as he usually has a cutoff right here for Mud that could have potentially been the end of one of our Team 1 members. But now Oxygen have gathered control of Living Room, as well as a pretty creative angle that we saw being used by Team 1 there, just to potentially catch any Oxygen member trying to rotate through the basement. More than likely would have died to the hatch player. So Oxygen being able to get around that and now start working their way towards this kitchen setup, and still have a lot of different avenues in which they could potentially do it. A lot of soft reach on this setup, especially with Vertical coming in on the buck.
Oh, that's not...
That's a caster's curse and a half, ain't it?
That's not the way you want to start out the round here. Dream accidentally knocking off the head of Vertical here.
I mean, nice shot, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like it was clean, but didn't really manage to catch it.
Speaking of clean!
Thankfully, Laxing is going to make up the correction here as he takes down Dash and brings us very quickly into another even game at a 4v4 after that very unfortunate mishap at the beginning of the round leading to Vertical's death.
Oh, Laxing you card. So he'll be able to pick up the initial frag here for Oxygen. He'll take out Dash, and now have the potential to try and play into this vertical control. Foxay sneaking up, but Dots is ready for it. Just the shoulder of Foxay is exposed, and he's immediately torn to pieces. This round looking more and more like Team 1 are going to shore up this score line, inevitably. Oxygen, though, still have the potential to try and battle back, droning outside, and are going to have a pretty solid read on the location of quite a few of these members.
Laxing waiting for the entry. 30 seconds remaining here, so they're going to need to go for it soon. Just waiting for that drone to get a little bit deeper probably and find out where the first target is so we can lock in on that. Not have to worry about anything else to his side or hiding in the corner by the laundry entry. Sometimes you can see players tucked in there, but things do not look good for Oxygen right now as Maya picked up the first exchange from that very corner I was just mentioning there. Lagonis, in fact, is standing there as I correct myself. Laxing's going to have no problem handling that. Nice. No! Another one as well. Laxing going huge right now, saving the team, but they still need the planet. He needs to go for it. He's been down. Maya takes him out. Another one as well from Dots as he finally descends into the fray and shuts this round down for Team 1.
Team 1 have finally been able to break the backs of Oxygen. They've been able to desync them and make it to where things are a little bit too complicated. Laxing pulling them back into this round, more of a wild card than anything inside of that situation. But past that, Oxygen just did not have the fuel in the tank to be able to go the full distance there. Team 1 having way too much control over the majority of the map. You know, we see Oxygen trying to work their way in from the study side, come across, clear things out, work their way up some stairwells, try and deal with kind of the mid-floor setup that we see from Team 1, but no one actually working their way upstairs to deal with any verticality or really anything of the sort, making it super easy for Team 1 to exploit that time and time again, all the way down to the very last moment where we see Dots sneak in through laundry via the master hatch.
Going to be returning as well to AVG, where we saw success from this team the last time they played onto it, so now returning to it for the first time since it was locked away due to mainly that great play from Maya over towards main stairs and as well baiting off of the hot pings that were coming and shutting down the last two members of Oxygen towards the bitter end of that round too. Good stuff from Maya. Once again, going to be in the hot seats. We can already see Maya onto the Jaeger. More likely will be setting up to that same main stairs hole to prevent the entries from Oxygen at both the main stairs itself, of course, and the study swing too.
Yes, indeed. And also, I do believe a new jammer actually sitting on that stairwell, which back in the day, if you didn't know, those things had some crazy height to them inside of their overall circle of presence or area of presence, whatever you really want to call it. So more than likely what that could be for is twofold. Number one, if they potentially get something onto the shield like a Selma that could potentially be muted, but it's more than likely for the drone hole that is literally sitting directly under Maya through the stairwell. So there's going to be no potential of any drones sneaking in under that now, and anytime they try and drone him out in that position, they're more than likely going to run into a problematic situation. But that should be pretty forward here for Laxing, at least potentially. It depends on where he can potentially land this Rotero drone.
Okay, I believe that first one was going in. It's actually going to sneak by Dash here.
I think it got muted. Oh, no, he jumped in and it got tased.
Oh, it got tased by the electrical wall.
Very unfortunate there for Laxing. That would have been a fantastic clear, and it more than likely would have made like a pretty pesky angle on the softwall there as well.
There we go. Corrects it, though, and that, I believe, is going to knock out the mirror window as it's on soft territory, so bye-bye to that. Hello to an opening for Oxygen to play into. It does not seem that Oxygen expected this bandit to be brought into the fray, so they're actually going to be struggling a little bit to be able to knock out the wall. Thankfully, taking out the mirror window helped them out a little bit in this respect, as you can see, as it also took out the electrical battery that was sitting next to it, and this has now allowed them to finally open up the wall. Bit of delay, though, as they're only getting this done about 40 or 50 seconds later than they were doing in the previous attempt.
Yeah, a little bit of a slower initial take here, but that doesn't mean that Oxygen can't ramp things up. but these guys can play so very fast whenever they want to. It's really just about what gear they're giving at the current moment. And right now, I'd say they're probably just in about second or third. They're kind of cruising, just trying to see potentially what Team 1 want to try and do with the later part of this round. Can we get anybody to rotate around and cut them off, get a free pick? Those kind of things are more than likely what's going through the head of Oxygen at the current moment. But what else is going through their head, John? Well, a lot of bullets. Laxing's going to go down. Dash trying to commit to this steady balcony hold, and Newers will actually win out the fight instead. Not on the Finka this time around, though, so he won't be able to get the health back for his fellow Oxygen members, but it doesn't seem like it's going to matter too much at the current moment as yet another kill will fall into their lap.
Timing is great for Foxy here, too. Moves in just when Laconis had pushed forward. Oh, Foxy backing away, nearly gets both of them. Even guaranteeing the 1-for-1, considering how much damage he got from that explosive set against him, is still impressive. Nicely done for Blacksing, but still, it's Oxygen in a bit of a delicate position now. Vertical with a sliver of HP remaining. Nur's playing with only half. Vertical still outside. This Nitro should finish him. There we go. RHS gets him. The plant's gone down, though, in the swings here from Dream to save his own life as he trades out of the RHZ. Just leaving Maya in this fight here. He's got the fight out on the balcony. The second one to follow it up. He even stopped playing for a second to pop off because it's such a big clutch. Now a run forward. He's got plenty of time to pick up this counter. If you just want to make sure, yeah, that actually almost tripped him up for a second there. That Claymore could have been a very bitter end to this round, but doesn't trip him up. He spots it, and Maya with a massive play puts another round on the board for Team 1 as they tie it up 3-3.
Maya's number called up, and he's able to adhere that call and pull something back for Team 1 that honestly, I don't think either of us thought that he was capable of in the current moment. Winning gunfight after gunfight up against Newers and Dream, especially for Dream. I mean, he's had the clamps when it came to a lot of these situations throughout the entirety of the NAL, but just not able to muster it there at the tail end. And Team 1 able to equalize with Oxygen here at a 3-3 scoreline as we change sides.
We will see here now as we get into a tactical pause from the Team 1 camp. They've got a lot to say here. It's actually
technical. I will get it cleared up, though.
Yeah, it is a tactical pause as far as I'm aware. And we can clarify now, yeah, it is a tactical pause from Team 1. I thought that was the case, just given how expressive their coach is currently being in the back of the shot there. So definitely a lot to be handed out. As Team 1 still have a lot of prep to do out there on the attacking side. Oxygen, oftentimes we talk about them. I know we talked specifically in the pregame about how their clears were very, very, something to be feared, I guess is a good way to say it there. But their defense is arguably just as much, too. That roam game from Laxing is going to now come alive. He's going to have that freedom to move about this massive map and do whatever he wants to do here. And aside from that, too, the same types of setups like on the main stairs and whatnot, we've got that very crazy accuracies coming out from the Oxygen roster, which could be a huge problem, just as Maya was throwing it out against these Oxygen members in the previous half.
Yeah, and honestly, for Oxygen right now, you have to start to let kind of the worry creep in just a little bit. Not the sense that they're going to lose the game, but definitely the sense of Team 1 can enact upon a lot of different things in their strategy as well as their mechanical ability to take it to Oxygen. And that's what we saw inside of that defensive half there for them. You know, Oxygen have a bang-up start, and then eventually it just slowly dwindles, kind of like their stage 1. You know, you have that fiery beginning, and then it kind of just fizzles out there near the tail end. But luckily enough for them, they'll kind of have a resurgence in the current moment, you know, have a little bit of a break there with the tack pause from Team 1, as well as switching sides, kind of give you, you know, breath of fresh air.
So looking once again at what exactly the setup is going to look like here for Oxygen, we are going to see a healthy amount of that mitigation being brought in. Of course, will I still banned out, so they brought as much as they possibly can here between yours as well as the pickup on Jaeger, still being played by Vertical. Now Vertical, that's another aspect we haven't really talked a whole lot about here. That's another one that can go absolutely crazy here on the defensive side. It's been a little bit quiet so far inside of this game, but even with that said, still one of the leading fraggers here, the leading fragger at 7-4. Foxy, though, taking a lot of the glory, it seems, as he's right behind him at 6-4, getting a little bit flashier kills from time to time.
Yeah. And just to play devil's advocate for the current moment, we do have to talk about Dash for Team 1 as well and what he was able to do the last game. You guys weren't here for our initial preamble, and you probably didn't hear that Dash had a 2.2 rating on Border. I believe he went like 17-4 or something like that. It was truly, truly disgusting, and a lot of it did indeed come from this offensive side. He had some very solid setups on defense. Do not get me wrong. You don't get that many kills just killing people on offense, but he was a force to be reckoned with when it came to Team 1's clears, and we'll have to see if that's potentially the same case here on Villa.
Maya, of course, has been the one that's been going huge so far from Team 1, inside of this map specifically, especially with the main stairs play on the AVG rounds. Going to see if we can continue that further into the second half. We are going to see that
laser gate is still up on Steady Window, right? That was such a strange interaction Team 1 went there
Yeah,
for.
it is.
I don't know why exactly Lagonis just detonated his Rotero drone on the windowsill, because that doesn't do anything for that. But, I mean, yeah, it just seems like they more than likely thought they could exchange utility there. He might have just misclicked, honestly, and ended up frying one of his drones. But either way, this is going to continue to slow things down because these laser gates are in the way of Team 1 trying to clear out the top of main stairs.
Yeah, there wouldn't really have been any other utility. I don't know if maybe like one of the bulletproof camera from Nurs maybe was positioned there as the only other thing I can think of.
It was on the windowsill, though, so
yeah,
it was very strange.
No, I agree with
it
you.
there,
I'm just trying to think of reasons why he might have done that. But moving back into the fight, Laxic struggling right now, having his health bled out. Down to just a sliver remaining here. He's been able to negotiate himself a position inside of the site. But, I mean, look at this now. He's just sitting in the corner because this is the only safe space he can really fight from, it seems, here. As he's brought down to just that tiny little bit of HP to play, he'll more than likely be hiding onto the back of Gun Vault here, just trying to take a pixel peek for the rest of this round.
Hold it down on the doors and see what Team 1 could potentially do on their execution. Excuse me, speaking of that, they're getting closer and closer to that by the moment. Dash at the bottom of main. We still have Maya inside on the study balcony. Lagonis for the counter angle at the current moment. And we also have RHC waiting to sneak in the back door, but Dash is going to go down to Fox. RHC starting to work the skull door here. Concussions in. Dream will go down to Maya as they're able to actually whip all the way across vertical with a huge flank. He'll take out a multitude of Team 1 members, but Oxygen have somehow ended up on the bottom of the pile. Fox will get one, and that's the case down. It's back down to the 1 versus 1 here.
Foxy having to move away from that. Possibly some bad timing as we do see Maya move up to pick up the case. Maya, probably the best player you want inside of this clutch, though. We've already seen him do it just in the previous round here. Looking to do it immediately again in the 1v1 versus Foxy. Foxy trying to be so obscured in terms of how he approaches this site here. Doesn't want to give himself away, but even so, Maya nearly clipping his head off immediately. But Foxy turns the tables right back onto Maya. Sees the fight coming his way. Sees the confidence brewing from Maya and shuts it all down with one pump from the M590 to take the first round of the second half.
Literal inches is what separated Maya from victory for Team 1 in that round. Look at the bullets flying through. Unfortunately enough, we won't be able to find it. But literally, as Foxy's backing off that door angle, there are bullets flying through the wall right to the right of his head. Pixels away.
He was like one step in the wrong direction, he's gone there. That's 2 Maya clutches in a row.
Yeah, welcome to Rainbow Six Siege, folks. That's just how it be sometimes. Just how it be. But for Oxygen, they're going to be able to capitalize off the back of Fox's efforts, who, by the way, currently 9-4, and not doing it in the most grandiose way either. He's just slowly collecting these kills, playing his role, even on offense. I mean, for a lot of that, he usually was the cutoff, you know, playing around mud and that kind of stuff, but potentially having a hand in the later parts of that round where he's found quite a bit of success.
Kind of saves the team inside of that round too. We saw, you were talking about how Oxygen ends up at the bottom of a pile after he gets traded out there going 2 for 1. The problem was those players he were taking out, they also just executed 2 to 3 of his own teammates inside of the site. So without his play there, that clutch from Foxy is just not realistically winnable. And that round goes the other direction there. So a great setup from Vertical to make sure Foxy can still win that in the dying moments of the round.
Absolutely. Can Oxygen, though, extend their lead off the back of that as round 8 gets warmed up right now? Pop it out the oven, folks. It's done here. As Team 1 are finally out and about. Got the case control back on Lagonis. We'll be playing the Habana this time around. And for Team 1, we're going to have the Dokkaebi come in for the very first time. Feel as though this info could potentially assist them later on in the round, especially for their executes. It would have helped them out quite a bit in recognizing that Vertical was coming up behind them inside of that last round there, if they would have called just moments before. So probably a smart pickup from them.
Fairly inactive from both teams here inside of the first 30 seconds of the round, but obviously fairly early days, so plenty of time for both of them to build up their confidence here. Going to be going for the early AVG clear. We have, I believe, 3 members of Oxygen playing in this area. 1 is going to be downstairs, so realistically 2. Third one can really contribute in the form of utility from below, but we might still see that, so keep your eyes on it. It can still be a factor here as the members of Oxygen will more likely getting pushed back relatively soon. As we talked about before, this is not necessarily an area where you'd like to lose both of these players for Oxygen. If it's looking risky, they'll more than likely bail out, get themselves back to the other side of the map inside of the site here. But if they think they have an opportunity for a kill, they will commit to it. Here's the problem, though. Nobody with Overwatch over the red stairs walks in. The good news, Foxy shows up kind of late, obviously, but still is able to trade it out. So the numbers remain palatable at a 4v4 for both teams.
Interestingly enough, is actually 2 completely different departments of this map. One going down on study, and now a lot of action happening inside of astronomy. Maya Trying to take these gunfights back and forth. Dream with a big pump, though, will take him down. Lagonas will be able to challenge back, take out Laxing. Dot's trying to work him from the other end. Dream, rocking a hard play situation for him right now. Still has a smoke to be able to try and shut down one of these doors that they could potentially try and push through. He's going to adhere the call, though, from the Dokkaebi, as they'll be able to get rid of that last piece of utility. The plant now starts inside of Statuary. Foxe trying to make the moves. He knows that somebody has to be in this area, but actually, no, it's inside of Trophy. Foxe, he's literally right next to you as he goes down. No info here for Oxygen to go off of, and they've been punished.
Foxe going down, an unfortunate gap from him, but maybe still winnable here for Dream inside of the 1v2. Biggest issue, obviously, he's going to be stuck only with his secondary to play from long range, but he's prepared for that. He's ready to take these engagements as he creeps forward. Already knows who that second player is, but can't light up the shot. It's Lagonas instead with the double, as another round is picked up from Team 1, and no clear winner can be found in this match as we continue to go back and forth.
Such strong individual talents on both of these teams, having such incredible moments. This round here really capped off with Team 1's early aggression and the way that they were able to maneuver through the building undetected quite early, get those picks, and force Oxygen to try and rotate back towards sites, and obviously making it quite difficult in that fact, as not only are they holding on to both different parts of the actual site, but the plant isn't even going down where Oxygen thinks that it is. It's actually going down in the corner of Trophy. They get caught completely off guard, and, well, not really too much to say past that. Dream, really not even a snowball's chance in hell that he's going to win that one, as two really, really hard angles to try and fight in that situation with zero info going into that. Obviously kind of hallmarked by the fact that Foxe had zero idea what was going on inside of Trophy when he was in split, so just a difficult round for OXG overall, but they're more than likely going to be prepared for Team 1 to try and get aggressive towards these, you know, off-site setups, or whether it be these site players. And that honestly might be why we're seeing the setup that we're seeing now, John, with the Legion coming in, as well as the Melusi, to try and slow down these players and at least get some info as to what Team 1's doing.
As you said, the comms and the info game overall is a little bit weak on the defensive side from Oxygen, which is in stark contrast to what we were seeing on the attacking side, where it seemed like it was really on point, and Oxygen wouldn't dare to make a move until he had absolute confirmation of a Team 1 player's position there, or had successfully baited them out through their drone game. Don't have the benefit necessarily of drones here now for Oxygen, have to rely on just the default cams and what they can bring through their utility, and it seems to be causing some struggles here, especially with the way that we saw Team 1 execute. That was crazy in the middle of the round, the amount of crosses we had and the number of different positions they were being played from too. A big risk being taken from Team 1 is so many solo players just doing their own thing, but it worked out for them in that previous round and caused so much confusion for Oxygen, as we obviously saw by that bit of a misplay from Foxe there.
Well, if you notice, Dash is no longer on the Dokkaebi either, so I can potentially just tell you this, at least if, you know, the thought pattern is the proper way. They more than likely use the initial call to get into the building, and that's what made things so unbelievably complex. Foxe with a big kill onto RHZ.
More importantly, though, the Nitro denying both of those X-Cairo sets that were thrown out right there. So that's
very
actually
nice,
that's going to eliminate half of that utility from the Hibana as well.
Yeah, sometimes I just like looking you in the eyes when I talk, you know? Like, very, very personable when you actually get to sit on a desk, you know?
So Lagonas, as you can see, is on drone now, because he's not going to immediately reattempt that. They want to make sure that there's no hope of that going away.
Well, this could get pretty scary. Dash
looking for a duel. Around the corner from him here. Foxe ready for it, but looking the wrong way. A little bit too low. Thought he was on red. Not the case. Dash takes him down, but Vertical's there to trade out Maya elsewhere in the hallway. He could potentially get Dash, too. Just a wrap around the corner from him, but has to isolate the position here. Dash now inside of Statuary. I believe his opponent has spotted him. Oh, Dash at the same time has spotted his own opponent as well here. There's Joe's clones.
No way.
Nearly catching him off.
No way.
And the counter hop. What are you doing, Dash? As he takes the duel out in the open, and Vertical shuts him down. It's now a 4v2, now a 4v1 lead for Oxygen. Everything falls to Dots here now. On the 0, trying to clutch this out, and you can see these silhouettes. Nice start to it, though, as he knocks the head very quickly off of Dream, taking him down there. How does he move forward from this, though? Another one around the corner, and he reads into that one, too. This is doable now, especially when you look at Vert's HP. He only needs one bullet into him to knock him out, but it's looking like he's got to go up against Yours first here. No counter cross. The pre-fire not there. He's behind the desk, so not going to be able to easily see him just yet here.
Oh, no.
Dots, he'll move forward, sees the foot this time, and nearly goes for the second, but Yours, he's able to get the counter action. He has the swing for the tray, baits his teammate a bit to get it done, but it's all about the round win, so it doesn't matter there.
Grab the defibrillator, somebody. I got to start my heart again. That was something else right there. Even past the fact that, I mean, Dash, with the best representation of a Monday Night Raw play that I've ever seen in my life. Just literally watch this. Just watch this. Dash like, screw it. He's like, I'll go too. Like, all right, okay. Vertical's going to take those too. And he does, in fact.
Over the top rope.
Yeah, but past that, Dots with some fantastic mechanical ability as well as the game sense on that kid. I mean, crazy stuff. Even, especially, just for sake of conversation, the way that he cleared Kitchen, pre-fires over the countertop, and has the forethought to actually look down and see if somebody's proning in that location, because it's quite common, actually. So just head on his shoulders and very aware of what's going on around him. It was a fantastic attempt there from Dots, but just no other Team 1 members around him to really potentially help him, which is always crappy when it happens like that, where it's like, oh, 1vx situation, I smoked 3 people, you know, and it's like, well, I really wish you kind of could have done that when one other person was alive, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. That's the biggest thing. And, well, for Oxygen, they're not going to be begging all too much, as well, they're in the lead at the current moment after quite a few very close calls.
OXG will take the kind of top end of the seesaw here now, as they will win that round out, but can they keep the consistency there? That is now the question. These teams have been going back and forth constantly here throughout this half. No clear leader has emerged just yet, but Oxygen are getting close to map and match point. So Team 1 have to be fearing themselves a little bit here, but the good news is going back over here towards AVG, they've known how to handle this and more importantly, knock out the resistance from Oxygen when it's been more aggressive. And we are going to see that, these extensions over towards Trophy Statuary, the hold on red stairs here. OXG is ready to take an early fight.
Yeah, Laxing is looking for anyone to try and rotate up red again. That's why he was there. He was like, oh, you want to try and do that at 30 seconds again? All right, cool. I'll wait. No worries. Please come through. But luckily enough for Team 1, that is not the strategy inside of this round. But there are some cheeky things going on for Oxygen, as Foxay has made himself a makeshift welcome mat underneath the window here. And unless he gets droned out, which should be pretty hard actually, as Vertical's getting rid of quite a few of these, then this is potentially a freebie. And it is indeed. It is going to be a freebie, as it's going to be a pre-fire towards the ground, not because they knew Foxay was there, but because they didn't know if there was a welcome mat there. But it wasn't a welcome mat at all, John. It was Fox.
Foxy's got a bit of an awkward game to play here now, though, since he's been discovered.
Oh, God.
Flashing against him, tries to hide in the corner.
I thought he jumped outside.
No. He's going to duck into that same spot, though, that he played out his first kill from. Back out into the open right. After that Nitro thrown unsuccessfully, unfortunately, as the player on the other side of the window does read into it and backs away. Finally, the pre-fire from RHC clips off Foxay's side enough to take him down, so that's been dealt with.
What?
And what was that shot as well from Dash through the connector into the soft wall by Astro, taking out a second member of Oxygen through that wall as well. That's on top of the kill that they had already gotten earlier on, so bringing it down to a 4 versus 2. Team 1 seemingly have everything they need, especially finding out Nura's position and that he's fallen back to the site. Just need to isolate Dream or make the assumption that he's playing in the site, which I believe would be correct, and they'll be free as they need to be to move into the site.
Well, it's down to our fresh-faced players here for Oxygen, and one of them, rookie as of right now, trying to take it to Team 1 inside of the 2v4 situation. A lot of time here for Team 1 still to potentially try and find some extra info and get yet another frag onto any of these unsuspecting Oxygen members. You can see the amount of angles that Oxygen currently have to worry about at the current moment. Bouncing back and forth between the doors as well as potential break in the wall, but Dream's going to pick up a big frag here inside of games. Concussions now come through for Newers. Still have the upside down rappel here for Team 1, so not trying to get too bold with it just yet. It's going to be slow opening here, although we have a very minimal amount of time.
RHC and Lagonis, they'll move in together here. Not able to knock that out, unfortunately, as they move themselves in. Toxic Babe is out.
Stuck.
Oh, it's way too short, though. That's not going to do anything. They need to rush out forward, but Nurs gets it done with a 2-for-1 trade. Puts the pressure onto Dream, though, in the 1v1, but at the same time, Dots, he has no time. He has to go for the frag. He's not read the position correctly, and Dream has the lean out from the other side of bar. Oxygen takes another round, and they'll go up on the map point.
Now that right there, folks, that right there is Newers. Welcome to it. This is how this guy plays the game, and I hate to break it to you, but he's pretty damn good at it. That was a heck of a round there from Oxygen, all the way from the cheeky plays inside of Master to some fantastic shots we saw from Team 1 inside of Astrology. Or Astro, rather. But either way, Oxygen able to make it out on top. Another dream clap for those NA fans at home, and Oxygen a 1 round away from victory.
Just one more round to go for these guys here in OXG. At the same time, it's a bit of a delicate lead here as Team 1 are right behind them. But at the same time, Team 1 seems to have fallen by the wayside a little bit here. OXG, we're trading out rounds back and forth and back again against Team 1 here. But they have lost their edge As of the past two, they're still relatively close, but it seems like OXG really is taking control as of that last round. What is Team 1 going to bring to the table to change things up? Well, they'll certainly bring a Dokkaebi, of course. They're re-picking into that away from the Twitch. Dash loses edge there a little bit. They've called for him to act in a bit of a supporting role, which I would generally tend to agree with. Aside from that, though, the lineup is remaining the same.
Yes, indeed, and that's a big thing about going, back and forth between maps on Siege. They all call for such different play styles. You're not going to be able to really one size fits all every single map. So it's going to require, some different things from different people, and that's exactly what Dash is feeling as of right now here on Villa. He just doesn't have nearly as many opportunities as he was gifted on Border, given the circumstances, and a lot of those have actually went over to Maya, who is currently 13-7, having a heck of a game right now. But hopefully, Team 1 can build around that amazing KDA. Potentially get something done with this. Foxay with a heck of a jump out here, didn't prep the bottom window and actually almost ends up losing his life, but fortunately enough for him, he's already in the animation and able to get through the window.
See Dash kind of trying to chase him down a little bit here. He's looking through the mudroom window, but he's not really going to be able to find anything there. So goes back to his own business over on Repel for the upstairs 90 play. Instead here, we're going to see a bit of action from Team 1 as they're working on getting the triple open, and they have succeeded in doing so. They've been able to use the Hibana pellets in order to get that job done. Only a first breach, though they do still want to make a second one, but since the resistance has already been removed, shouldn't be too much of an issue, but the problem is going to be as they start to work their way in. Dash's Red Dream with the 2-0 lead so far on kills for this round. He tries to go for 3, but it's finally bested by Lagonis here. Only the beginning of the frags for Team 1. They got a lot of work to make up for here. Need to find that second kill only to equalize things, and they may have just done it. Foxay getting caught and dropped. There's a good chance to bring him back over, but he'll still be at very low HP. And there we go. Indeed, he's been revived, but is only going to have 20 to play with for the rest of this round.
No Nitro Cell just yet. Foxay, he's going to get there too late to try and potentially stop this. Could still get the
way
play,
off the
but he went for default instead of where the actual plant was. But now Team 1 starting to feel the pressure. Lagonis, can he win this? He can! It's a triple for him. Down to the 2 versus 2. Lagonis very low on HP. Dots, just about 50% of his. Vertical, he's found the plant spot and potentially a kill. It's going to be Newers instead, though. It's all down to Lagonis on literally a sliver of HP. He crosses. Newers shuts it down. Newers with 10 kills, as well as Vert with, I believe, 12. Oxygen will close it out in 7-4 fashion.
That's a dangerous aspect of OXG that we talked about. Newers, the kind of hit-or-miss aspect from him. The team have been weakening a little bit, possibly in part to him falling off, but him coming alive, especially in these final 2 rounds, really seals the deal for Oxygen as they take control of their initial matchup here at the tournament and give as well
Gorgeous.
Team 1 their initial loss.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks, but this scoreboard looks so very good. Foxay, Vertical, as well as Newers, all in the plus 10 kills department. And just like we were talking about earlier, Foxay really was just doing the best with the cards that he was dealt. There wasn't any, crazy round where Foxay goes off and gets 5 kills. It was just a slow build-up of always being, somewhat successful and consistent in a round-to-round basis, and ends up with the most kills for the team. Very well done by OXG.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we do come back, we'll have the breakdown of this match to get you guys ready for the next one.